Also, I mean, that walk-off last night was...
Oh, man. Yeah.
They should be vibing for days.
That's true.
What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls Podcast, coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck, Big Dave, Bow, BAWL Sports, Will the Goat Gottlieb, Will_Gottlieb, and our pal and producer on the controls, the one and only Joey Spathis at Joey Spathis. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day. Beautiful day in Chicago. Spring is here. I love it. We are going to continue on with our player evaluations today with Chicago's own Ayo Dosunmu, fresh off a very impressive third season with the Bulls.
Yes.
First, though, can we give a quick shout out to the Chicago Sky?
Sure.
For the final score of that game yesterday?
Ass whooping.
Holy shnikes.
Yeah.
101 to 53.
In the preseason. But
that was a real score.
Mm-hmm. It happened. Does it get you excited for the season? Got me excited.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I love the game names that Reese had as well.
She looked good.
What, 13 and 5?
Yep. Couple of steals.
Yeah.
Tenacious defense.
Yep. She's as advertised. You know what I mean? She's exactly what I always saw her to be. She hates to lose. She loves. All she knows is winning. This is what a champion's going to do. She's going to get in there. She's going to tear it up. And I can't wait. I cannot wait just for that season to kick off, man.
And Camila Cardozo didn't even play.
Didn't even get
out for a while.
Yeah.
So she's going to be out for
hopefully
a minute.
she gets back.
And it was a packed house of Chicago athlete celebrities.
Yeah.
Our guy Kobe White was there.
He was in the house.
Showing out. Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze were there. Keenan Allen was there. It was a who's who of Chicago athletes repping and coming out for the Sky. You love to see it.
You do. It's a good thing, man.
I mean, between the Bears draft and the Sky draft and,
in case you didn't see it.
You know, the Hawks, you know, with Bedard's rookie season and then the Hawks getting a number 2 pick from the lottery results in the NHL draft lottery last night. I mean, like, there is so much influx of youthful energy in Chicago sports right now.
Sure.
Like, can we get some?
I'd like a piece. You know what I mean? Just a little skosh. But for the meantime, I'll just settle for Joey Spathis.
That's the Bulls' youthful energy.
That's the youthful energy right there.
Joey Spathis.
Joey Spathis, dog.
Oh, come on, man. He's already. He's what are you like? About to turn 25 or something?
Yeah, you're about to be washed.
Exactly.
Whoa. How old are you?
No comment.
You're out of your prime.
What do you guys think? Should we offer Joey that max extension off his rookie at the end of his rookie deal?
He can play on the qualifying offer.
I don't know if I've earned the max.
He had a good season. You know what I mean? That first one was shake, but he had a good second year. So we'll see how it goes, man. But I'm positive.
If he's not on the floor against the Celtics, then he should shut the hell up.
Who had a better third season in the pros, Joey Spathis or Ayo Dosunmu?
Ooh.
That's
Ayo.
It's a tight call.
Probably Ayo.
I think Ayo.
I'm going Joey.
He's going Joey?
Yeah.
He did step up. Joey did step
team
up.
pride.
Should we tack on Joey to the end of
backing my guy
our
no matter
player
what.
evaluations?
Yes, let's evaluate Joey.
Should we give Joey a player?
We're going to give some
about
Joey
that.
player evaluations with some meathead grades. Oh, yes, Joey. This is happening now. Oh, my God. Yes, I want this now. Joey.
So many possible report card categories.
Dude, just
graphics,
he really grew.
production.
Exactly, man.
Hop-ins on the mic.
Oh, man. You know what I mean? Appearances.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's really showing up and gotten so much better at those things, man. He's at the 120 club representing, man. He do it all. Joey do it all.
And the people.
Could anybody track stats of hat throws better? I doubt it.
That's true.
I doubt it.
Yes, for sure they could, because I didn't do that good of a job with it.
I don't know if they can build up. He's trying to help you out.
The good news is it is not a serious enough stat that it needs to be taken that diligently.
No.
The Cubs guys keep advanced stats on Cody's beer chugs.
The timing of his chugs?
Yeah, like a quality chug is under 10 seconds. And there's some other advanced stats too.
See?
Exit velocity.
Is there? Yeah.
That's why Joey feels he can
What would the NBA advanced stats
intake
like?
velocity,
True
intake
chugging percentage.
Right.
I know he's in the teens as far as his chugging, like 13.
Yeah.
12,
Or
13
like
seconds.
if he's chugging a 12 ounce or maybe like a 16 ounce occasionally.
Yeah.
So that would like the equivalent of like a 3-point attempt rate, but like a 16 ounce attempt rate.
Right, exactly. I don't know what the bat is. The bat 16 ounces?
Well, I think you can fit for sure 16. You might even be able to fit a 20-ounce beer in that big beer bat.
Oh, man.
I don't know. I mean, Cody's right over in Studio B doing Cubs post game. Should we interrupt it and ask him?
Yeah, let's. Cody!
We've got questions about your beer chugging.
They let us do this.
Oh my goodness. Kyle Walters in the comments said, "I was the man, but his commercials with Howard Ankin are cringe." Hey, practice makes perfect. Whether it be a 3-point shot or shooting commercials.
Does it all.
Two very different kinds of shooting.
Yes, very true.
But let's dive in and talk about this third season we just saw from our guy Ayo Dosunmu. Had a career high in points per game at 12.2. Shot just over 50% from the field, which actually was not a career high because he shot about 52% his rookie year. 40.3% from three.
Ooh,
career high. That's what I'm talking about.
Attractive.
Also, didn't get to the line a ton, but did manage a career high 81% from the charity stripe. Also bumped his usage up to a career high 17.2. While lowering his turnover percentage to a career best 11.9. Lots to like when you start looking at Ayo's advanced offensive stats this season.
The thing I liked the most was he became a creator. He did it on his own. Every time he got the ball and it just was a little stale or everything was just a little lull in the offense, he would kickstart it. He would go to the bucket. He would try to get that lay-in using his speed, or he'll do that crossover and pull up with that mid-range shot. He was the man to hit the shots at the beginning of the game. The first 2 points usually went to Ayo Dosunmu because he got the ball and he said, "I'm going to shoot it," and he would control those things. 3-point shooting, the pull-ups got better. Definitely the off the ball was just much better as far as his 3-point shooting. But I just really enjoyed watching him offensively, and I love that we got to a point where I could just put it in pen that he was going to be a double-digit scorer for the Bulls every single night. We saw him have career highs in points as well, 35. Twice. Right, he had 35 once, and then he scored 30 again. He just was stellar. He was awesome on the offensive end for the Bulls, man, and something they truly needed.
Yeah, we talked about this with Vooch, but in terms of the Bulls needing guys to step up, it's hard to really make an argument for anybody outside of Ayo and maybe Kobe as far as guys who stepped up and exceeded expectations more than Ayo did. He was outstanding. I thought he really looked a lot more comfortable in his game. The change of pace I thought really helped, but just the way that he was able to continue to put pressure on the rim while also adding that 3-point shot, improving obviously his ability to attack closeouts, getting out in transition. I mean, he was just for a team that really can get bogged down in the half court, I thought his play in particular really helped keep them fresh, keep them young, keep them playing fast. And he just continues to do it from basically I was trying to look through some of the numbers. Basically, after Zach LaVine went down for the second time. So the final 27 games of his season starting January 20th, Ayo was 17 points, 3.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists on 51, 43, 82 shooting splits.
Damn.
5.5 3-point attempts per game. So I just feel like he answered the call more than just about anybody on this team. And he was consistent doing so. So, I mean, really, really big props to Ayo. And, again, we talked about him as being the odd man out of the rotation. Should the Bulls even give him a contract extension last year? Why would you, bring him back to be behind Javon Carter and Kobe as a third-string point guard? All of a sudden, you can't take him out of the lineup. He's playing 38 minutes a game because Billy can't afford to have him off the court. So
he's playing huge minutes down the stretch.
Ayo was tremendous down the stretch. I think his defense we can talk about, but that was kind of consistent for me. But the offense really took a step forward and just really impressed.
Yeah, and I don't think any of us were really concerned about him defensively. I think we had already known that he can be a good defender in this league. It was about him on the offensive end. We thought that's what was going to get him on the court. That's what's going to get him time. That's what's going to get him more money. And those were the questions. And he answered a lot of those questions. You know what I mean? Just like I said, as far as creating himself, but more so just the actual 3-point shooting, Will. I think that's where it really got answered at for me.
Yeah, and the thing that's really impressive when you were touching on the role and whether we saw a role for Ayo in Billy's main rotation coming into this season, Will, that is so impressive that he has been able to, he had a bit of a sophomore slump season, but between his rookie year, his second year, and then this year 3, rookie year, he had 77 games, 40 of which were starts. That's a player whose role is changing consistently throughout the season. Lonzo's injury. Year 2, he plays 80 games. He starts 51 of them. Other variations of who's available and who's not. Still no Lonzo. Year 3, he plays 76 games. So shout out, 77, 80, 76. 37 of which are starts. So he basically, the first 3 years of his NBA career has been half a starter and half a bench guy. And he has been just rolling with the flow of that the entire time, which in itself deserves credit.
I think it's because he is so confident in the things that he does well.
Yeah.
He's an incredibly hard worker, but you know what you're getting from him on a night-to-night basis. So it's never like, I mean, he'll have like a down shooting night from time to time. I think obviously that last game against the Heat in the play-in, he was pretty poor shooting the ball, but like the way that he affects the game, his presence in the game, I think is really consistent on a night-to-night basis. That's something that I think we all kind of feel that is left to be desired with Patrick Williams. He's just so consistent. And I was, I mentioned the shooting splits. 5.5 3-point attempts per game over those last 27 games, shot 43%. Players who attempted more than 5.5 threes and shot just over 40%, not even 43. It was Steph Curry, Paul George, Kyrie, CJ McCollum, D'Angelo Russell, Jamal Murray, Malik Beasley, Luke Kennard, Dante DiVincenzo, Grayson Allen, Jalen Brunson, Sam Merrill, Sam Hauser. So like less than 15 guys, and all those guys are shooters. Like we talk about guys who can shoot versus shooters.
The front half of that list is superstars, and then the back half of that list is elite three-point shooters.
This is like, I don't expect him to shoot at that level. I think like 40% would be a good goal for him every year. But I mean, that is company of like the best shooters in the league and in league history in some of these cases. So, I mean, that's just like a huge step forward. And again, over 27 games, that's consistent.
And even if you like those splits are even more impressive, but if you take the entire body of his work in year 3, people talk about players who increase their volume of three-point shooting because their team needs it and maintain the efficiency they had on fewer attempts. And people talk about players who kind of keep their attempts where they are, but have a season where their efficiency dramatically improves. To me, that is the most impressive thing when you're talking about the year we just saw from Ayo, because he did both in like insane numbers. So he had 40.3% start to finish this season behind the arc. Last season, it was 31.2. You're talking about a near 10% increase in his three-point efficiency, and then you look at his three-point attempt rate, and it goes beyond just that 27-game split, Will. Across the entire season, last season, Ayo's three-point attempt rate was .332, so a third of all of his shots were from three. This season, it increased to .410. I mean, massive leap in both three-point attempt rate and efficiency.
He understood the call. He understood
the assignment, as some say.
And I mean, I think when I'm starting to really dive into the draft and evaluating prospects, right? And I think one of the big things where, you can't always tell, for example, like Reed Shepherd shot 53% on threes this year. He was Kentucky guard. I mean, that is absurd. Nobody's ever going to do that for a full season, but he did it. But I think more impressive is he's telling you in his game that he can be a high volume shooter. That says there's confidence in his shot coming from him, coming from the team. That's what they're asking him to do. I think volume is just as big an indicator when it comes to 3-point shooting to tell you how good a guy is as his percentage. If you shot 41% on threes, but you only take one a game, that doesn't tell me much about you as a shooter. If you shoot 35% on 5.5 threes per game, that tells me you're a good shooter because you're confident enough to get that shot up. And for Ayo's percentage to rise and volume, I think it's a huge sign of growth and confidence from him.
And I also like the fact, as Matt kind of touched on, his role, it's always changing. It's always, I'm coming off the bench or I'm starting. Even when he's in the starting lineup, it changes. Whether he could be the point guard or he could be the shooting guard. But he still delivers every single time. You still get the same thing. There's nothing better than consistency in sports. When you're on a positive, I should say, you should be consistently good. That means I don't have to worry about you. I know what I'm going to get. I know what's going to happen. And if you give me over that, it's just extra gravy. So Ayo's been great, man. Can't say enough.
Extra gravy. We got to take our first break. Rattle off a couple comments before we do. What up, Julia? Saying Ayo is her favorite Bull. Fish saying, I would be cool with keep an eye out for the half of next season while we tank and see if he can get his value a bit higher. Oh, Fish, we are like-minded.
Did I see what Eco Bean said?
Eco Bean, yeah. Oh, I was getting to it.
Okay.
Ayo reminds me of Chris Dunn.
Is that a joke?
We're talking about a Bull who just had a wildly impressive season, raising his three-point attempt rate and three-point percentage to, like, elite levels. What about that, says Chris Dunn?
Dogging him.
If you're talking defensive end, I could maybe hear your argument.
I can hear that
but
defensively. Yes.
Yikes.
Yes.
TR, meanwhile, saying Ayo is a good player. Don't know if he's a starter or a great sixth man when the Bulls contend for the playoffs again. Honestly, if he's just used as a 3-and-D guy, he could be one of the league's best. Ayo MIP next season, says Tangi Marie.
Love it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? All right, let's take our first break there. We will come back and dive into what we handed down for Ayo with some of his grades, and then also talk about what we saw from him on the defensive side of the ball. Ooh, Diesel11 just said Ayo has Derek White potential.
Ooh.
Do you see Derek White going off in that game one?
Insane.
My God.
Insane. Dog.
My God.
He's been special. He's been special.
While we're sharing these words from our sponsors, you know what to do, Bulls Nation. Hit that like button. Now's your chance. Do it for our friend Troll Joe. Your thumbs make him happy. Dave, he's... It was such a funny note.
He's up there.
That was too loud.
I loved it. I loved it.
R.I.P. headphone.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Joey, I do have a question for you, though, man. How is baby Joey?
He's good.
Yeah?
He's actually very good. He's a year old now, and I just saw a picture of him where he looked very old, and he looked...
That's from all the traveling.
Yes, he's gone around the world a couple times, gone around the world twice, talked to everyone once, and... You know, he's got some wisdom in his eyes, you know, from all that. So
I agree with that, man.
He's good, but it's almost hard to see his eyes.
Oh, yeah, that's very true. You know what I mean? He doesn't like people looking him in his eyes. Every picture he sends me, he's always got on the premium polarized shades because he don't want people up in his eyes, man. Or he say, I don't want no suckers looking me in my eyes. These are Baby Joey's words, man. You don't want to run up on him, dog. You been listening to Kendrick. Shady Rays! Independent sunglasses company offering that world-class product rated 5 stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames. Their shades have crystal clear optics, and it makes them the perfect choice for all your indoor.
You said indoor first.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I know. I switched it up. That's what I did. That's my mistake. Outdoor and indoor. Invenciones. He's ready.
It's a word.
It's a word. Will told me. I'm rolling with it. They have hundreds of options, y'all. Hundreds of options to choose from. So you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. And they probably have a style in your favorite team's colors. Just saying. So if you want to look cool, you want to be smooth, and you want to be like Baby Joy and my main man Matt Peck over here, this is what you do. And this is exclusive for the listeners out there. Shady Rays giving away their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com. Use the code CHGO. You will get 35% off of those premium polarized shades. Drive like hell. The shades that are rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Because it's Shady Rays, y'all, where the Rays are oh so shady.
Oh, so shady.
I was at the Cubs game last night. Guy right in front of me was wearing a pair of Shady Rays, and I almost gave him a hug.
There you go.
Probably one of the smartest people here, buddy.
I just ordered myself a couple new pairs earlier today.
Oh, new pairs for Matt?
Summer pack on deck.
Oh, man.
Gotta get a couple new pairs.
All right.
I'm excited for them.
I'm excited for you.
You know, I mean, I do need lots of sunglasses because my summer is so bright in so many ways. But one of the ways is making money watching these NBA playoffs, man.
Nothing wrong with that.
Humble brag, a little bit of a flex. I put a parlay down on that OKC Mavs game last night. 5-leg parlay.
Dinner's on Peck.
Cash
you got
it.
that right.
My account's sitting pretty right now, man.
Looking smooth, man.
Sitting pretty. Also took OKC to cover 4.5.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, first quarter, tie ball game. I was like, I think OKC is going to run away with this in the second half. That's exactly what happened.
I mean,
I am happy because I got more money in my bank account, and I got great odds on that OKC spread from Circus Sportsbook, who offer those tight money line splits and use their low hold model, always striving for minus 110 odds out of the gate on point total over-unders, game spreads, on any game that you're getting ready to watch that night. On Circa Sports menu, unlike a lot of those other sports books that use -115, -120 odds out of the gate for no reason at all, they also keep as little money as possible on large market bets. If you're thinking you want to make a bet for who's winning it all in the NBA Finals in just a few weeks' time, the best place to do that for the best odds is Circa, who also have the best customer service in the business. Real people behind the Circa Sports brand who resolved any issues you might have in a timely fashion, unlike those other sports books who use the dreaded, useless, we need to fight them chatbots.
Humanity will prevail.
Humanity will prevail. All aspects of that Circa app are being run by the same team that run the main Circa Sportsbook at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Just kidding. Humanity is clearly doomed. Download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to make some money before humanity becomes doomed. To sign up today. Be on the lookout also for Circus events, watch parties, and tailgates. If you or someone you know may have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. Text GAMB to 833-234 or visit areyoureallywinning.com.
You know what? Before we even go into segments, let me throw these on.
Woo! Shady Days.
Oh, because the future is bright. Oh, it is so bright.
Does anybody know if they do premium polarized prescription?
Oh, we shall find that out for the GOAT.
I might need to.
It's another letter for the alliteration.
We are talking. Yes,
on that.
He needs it because we are talking about the bright future of Ayo Dosunmu, and that is brought to you by our good people, as we mentioned, at Shady Rays. You can head to shadyrays.com and use that code CHGO at checkout and get your beautiful self 35% off of those premium polarized sunglasses, or as we call them, shades.
Shades. Future's bright.
Ayo, bright.
I truly believe the future is bright for Ayo Dosunmu.
I think so.
After that season we just saw from him, even if it's just a excellent role player in the NBA,
Yes.
which I think is very doable for Ayo.
Yes,
That is a bright future.
I agree.
The Bulls could use an excellent role player. We still got to figure out who the stars of this team are.
There's a future
long
too.
term, because it's not DeMar, it's not Vooch, it's probably not Zach.
Yeah.
But bright future as a role player is still a great thing. So let's talk about some of these grades that we gave Ayo for this season.
Let's do it.
Joe, if you have those grades, I believe I gave him an A- for his offense this season. There it is, and you guys were very similar, B+ and B+. What prevented you guys from giving Ayo an all-out A, or maybe even an A- in y'all's case? If so we're singing Ayo's praises in the first segment for everything he did well offensively this season. What would you have liked to see more from him?
Oh, that's a great question. I think if Ayo was somebody, I think at times it shocked people, and I don't know if it caught some of the league off balance, some of his offensive skills and prowess that he did. I always want to know what it's like when the league kind of catches up with you. Because we saw what happened his rookie season. When they caught up with him, you know what I mean, in season 2, it was a different thing. Yeah. So now he is, again, because he's an intelligent ball player, he changed some of his game and said, okay, I'm going to start doing this. Now we see he loves going to the right-hand layup. You know what I mean? Whether he's getting off the wrong foot or the right foot, he likes putting that layup up on the right hand and just running by you with that and falling into the cameraman and all that. We'll see what the NBA, how they kind of shift to that, or if it still works. Because that's when greatness comes along, is when they know it's coming and they still can't do anything about it. So from that's why I gave it the B+, because I like the fact that he changed. They caught up with him and then he changed. But I want to see what the league says next, if they're going to catch up with him, or if he's going to continue to thrive and maybe become a 20-point scorer in this league, which would be absolutely sexy.
Yeah, I want to see him create a little bit more on the ball, and I don't think the Bulls asked him to do very much of that, so I don't want to act like I'm taking credit away from him, because it just really wasn't his role. He was kind of a 3-and-D player who could attack closeouts, and that's super valuable, but obviously in high school and in college, he was the ball-dominant guard. Yes, he was creating offense. And I think he can get into more of that. I want to see him get to the rim at a higher level. I think he has a couple of good ways to get there, but I want to see some more counters. I want to see him be able to be a little bit more creative around the rim. I think he's got that one scoop shot off the wrong foot.
Right.
That's very solid. But again, like Dave's saying, teams are going to get prepared for that and scout against it. So how do you react? How do you get better? But I think, really, it comes down to the shooting for me. Obviously, he was an outlier great shooter this year. I don't think anybody really believes that's how good he is, but can he continue to get better? And again, I think volume is going to be just as big as percentage here. Like I would rather him shoot 38% on 6 or 7 threes per game than 43% on 4.5 or 5. Just because he has to get them up. The Bulls are so far behind the rest of the league in 3-point shooting. So again, this is just like extra stuff. I think Ayo has exceeded our expectations. Right. He's exceeded where his draft slot, right? Like he's way more productive than where you would expect a second round pick, 37th overall, to be. So he's been great. I don't want to sound like I'm bashing him at all. It's just can he get to a level where he's consistently more than a role player, where he's creating a little bit more offense for a team that is in desperate need of shot creation.
I like that.
Yeah, I dig it. I really don't have any complaints about Ayo's shot chart, and his shot profile. We mentioned the increase in the 3-point attempt rate, which is great. Some of those percentage of field goal attempts numbers shifting towards 3-point attempts cut into his attempts at the rim compared to last season. 41% of his attempts came at the rim last season. That was down to just 33% this season. His short mid-range to mid-range, so 3 feet to 16 feet, basically stayed the same as it was last year collectively. 21% from that 3 to 16 last season. It was 21% again this season. If there's something that I didn't see as much of from Ayo this season that I would have liked to see and want to see more of next season is we know that he's an off-ball threat. Now, he's shooting confidently from the break, above the break if he's trailing in transition, in the corners. Use that and the fact that you are a legit 40% threat behind the arc now to turn yourself into a more slashing and cutting threat as well. Because we see these little glimpses at times of Ayo's cutting ability when he's playing off the ball on the weak side of the floor. And whether it's cutting from the elbow or from baseline when he's maybe waiting for an opportunity for a corner three, we know he has that speed and agility to get to the rim because we see him do it in transition when he's leading those transition opportunities. Find ways to cut and slash when you're playing off the ball to create other good looks at the rim for yourself and for your team as a whole. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, on top of that, I think that's a great point in terms of next steps for him is the passing vision and creating out of those closeout opportunities. Also, getting the free throw line. I think he's got to do a better job of, and that goes into the finishing package, right? It's how do you get to a point where you're drawing more fouls? Only a 14.6 free throw attempt rate, which is the same as the year before and his rookie year. Can he get that up to double what it is to where he's really generating high efficiency offense at the free throw line? Like he's basically relying on, he's an extremely efficient shooter right now, over 60% true shooting. That's fantastic. But he's relying on a lot of shot making. And is that sustainable? Maybe we'll see, but I think the way that you become a star in this league is by getting to the free throw line 5, 6, 7, 10 times per game. And I'm not saying Ayo should get there, but what was he at this year? Like 1.4, I want to say? Pretty
similar.
Exactly,
that I remember looking at.
So can you get that up to 3 next year and provide a little bit more offensive firepower in that way? Because again, the margin for error with this team, they're not going to shoot threes. They've got to not turn the ball over. They've got to offensive rebound. They've got to hit their shots efficiently, and they need to get that free throw rate up.
Lars in the comments saying, yeah, for real, cutting elevates the game so much. When Ayo and Javonte were both cutting, we actually had off-ball scoring. Wow. And you guys remember when we got Javonte back on the 10-day and then for the rest of the season, and we were like, oh, right, that's what players who actually move off the ball looks like. Because Bulls fans just became so used to watching this stagnant, plodding half-court offense, a lot of ISO, DeMar, and passing out of double teams, but very little off-ball movement.
Well, even in your transition, that's why Ayo had so many one-on-myself fast breaks. I would just take it and just go just straight to the bucket. And he's one of those guys who can run and start that transition, but he also knows how to run the break as well if he's coming on the wing. So I feel that's an awesome combination for a guard to be able to start the break. You can do it, but you don't have to have the ball to be effective either. So you can come in and slash, or he knows when to go to the baseline for that 3-point. That's a very awesome skill that he has, man. We got to see more of it.
Let's talk about Ayo's defense for a minute here, and our grades for him. I believe I was a bit more stern than y'all. You gave him some B material. I think I gave him a C+. And look, Ayo had a perfectly passable defensive season, in my opinion. That's why I gave him a C+.
Okay.
A few numbers. His defensive rebounding, which he's, for as far as guards who rebound, it's never really been Ayo's thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes he will grab those boards himself and allow himself to get those transition opportunities. Mm-hmm. But his defensive rebounding percentage dipped a point from 9.3 last year to 8.3 this year. Steal percentage basically stayed the same, 1.5. He did increase his block percentage a touch, from 1.2 last year to 1.7 this year. I also love this. He committed 7 fewer shooting fouls this season than last season.
Sexy.
In 114 more minutes played this season than last season.
That's attractive.
That was one of my nitpicks with Ayo in his first 2 seasons is unnecessary fouls. Billy Donovan has talked about it a lot with this team, especially with some of the younger guys. Don't commit unnecessary fouls.
Yeah.
Especially, that leads to putting your opponent in the bonus. That leads to another way in which you're playing from behind every night, because we know they're playing behind from 3 every night.
9 points.
The thing that led me to a C+ instead of a B is because if Ayo really wants to be, as somebody in the comments mentioned earlier, a legit elite 3-and-D role player in this league, you not only have to have great on-ball defense, technique, and instincts, which we have seen from Ayo. You cannot get lost off ball. And I think that is the biggest glaring weakness anywhere in Ayo's game right now. On either end of the floor, so many times he gets caught ball watching or he misses his guy when he's playing off ball defense, run around a curl screen or a pin down screen, and it leads to a bad rotation, a missed rotation, and the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
And it's okay, it's great that his on-ball defense is already on its way to being above average, maybe even elite someday in this league. You can't get caught ball watching when you're off ball. I thought I saw a lot of Ayo moments that were bad off-ball defense.
No, you're right, because we watched them all together. You're absolutely right. And that's kind of what Will is saying. The margin is so razor thin that when you make those kind of mistakes, they're just much more glaring right there, man. But, yeah, I see you, Joe. Thank you, sir.
We could continue for a minute or two. Just
that wasn't a minute or two move, man. That was we got to do this, man. So let's do it.
Let's do it.
We'll come back.
You want to take a break?
Yeah, let's come on. We'll come on back.
We'll come on back. Okay.
Let's do it for Joe.
Let's put a pin in this Ayo defense and knock out a couple of ads, and we'll come back on the other side. That was the Future is Bright segment brought to you by Shady Rays.
So wear these indoors more often. I see why you do it. Yeah.
I love wearing sunglasses inside.
Yeah.
That's why you save for your outdoor and indoor.
Advenciones.
That's
true.
Dave, what do we got next in ad break number 2?
Joey, what's happening?
get out.
Almost. He was right there. He was right there. Good job, sir.
Not as quick as I would have liked, but
It's all right, but you was right there. You was there, though. You was there. Just pump fake, but you still hit the shot, and I like it. Game time, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip off with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices used on your seat, and the lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying those NBA playoff tickets. They got last-minute deals, y'all. You can save up to 60% off of buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. All that stuff, 60% off. The flash deals, you can save even more money with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event. And then my thing, the zone deals, because you can save more when you choose a section and let Game Time do that selecting, baby. Save you that money. It's all a beautiful thing. And, of course, I love the seat views. Get that panoramic view on your seat in the app before you buy. Because whether you're big and tall or just tall, you want to know where you can be sitting, because it's important, y'all. Seat views, Game Time.
Hey, seat views matter to smaller people, too.
Of course they matter. You know what I mean? But I'm just telling you who it matters more to. It matters more to us.
Actually, it matters to them who's sitting in front of them more than where their seats are.
Well, they'll find that out when they get there. They can't control that. You know what I mean? God damn that
crap. I'm
big
sitting behind
son
Matt
of a
and Dave.
gun. Big son of a gun right there. Oh, God. Oh, take the guesswork out of buying those NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code CHGO. Get yourself $20 off your first purchase.
Terms supply.
That's CHGO. Get yourself $20 off your first purchase.
Terms supply.
Download game time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Because Lawrence, what time is it? There it is.
From the parking lot.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my goodness. I love it. Today's CHGO Bulls also brought to you by Coors Light. Between work, social media, and the choices that life throw our way, it's no wonder that sometimes we can get a little stressed out, a little worked up. Here's the thought, though.
Okay.
Coors Light celebrates rising above those stressful moments and choosing a chill mindset. Why not turn a rained-out barbecue into a karaoke house party?
Why not?
Or if you're Cody, after a tough Cubs shutout loss, a nice fun postgame, and you don't get to do the victory bat chug, but have a nice cold refreshing Coors Light anyway.
Do it with stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Make the choice and choose chill. Then reach for Coors Light. It's mountain cold refreshment, y'all.
Chugging it down.
Gosh, it really is. When the mountains turn blue, it's as cold as the Rockies and ready to drink. Coors Light is cold lager, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. When you embrace a chill mindset, choose chill, crack open a Coors Light. Coors Light is mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. And speaking of that cold packaged, if you want some Coors Light and you're feeling a little lazy, maybe you don't want to get off your couch because you're excited to watch some baseball or some NBA playoff action.
I am.
Make the most of that time to chill. Eliminate the run to the store. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Basketball. That's CoorsLight.com/CHGO Basketball. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Golden, Colorado. But yeah, I was talking about Ayo's defense.
Ayo's D.
And I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, we saw a lot of those plays happen. The reason I gave it a B was, even though that happens for me, that felt like young guy stuff. I'm more upset and willing to give you a lower mark if I'm watching guys like DeMar do it. Not saying, I'm just using him as an example of a veteran. You know what I mean? So if I'm watching them do it and fall asleep on defense, I'm angry. I'm extra angry.
Yeah.
Young guys like Dalen Terry or even Ayo like that, I'm like, I'm not happy, but I'm like, okay, I get it. You're still learning. But for him to have that, but still be an important piece defensively for the Bulls, because you mentioned the off-ball defense. I loved his help defense as well. I thought his help defense was awesome because he had a couple blocks just coming over for help that were great, or a couple of those strips that he would get, and he would start the break and get on down in transition, man. Like, I love that from Ayo because that lets me know your IQ is up there. You're really thinking and anticipating what's going on in the game. Yes, you've fallen asleep for sure because you're watching the game, seeing what's going on and forgetting about your man. But those things can be corrected and fixed. But everything else, I think everything else is hard to teach that he does. You just, sometimes guys got it and sometimes guys don't. Teaching them to not fall asleep on there is something that can be taught. But the other things that he does, he just has. And I just find that really, really talented, man. And he's just really good at being a defender.
I feel like I'm kind of the opposite direction on that, Dave, because to me, like, I don't love it, but like with Zach or with DeMar.
You're talking about falling asleep on the.
Yeah,
Okay.
like they're just so, they're asked so much offensively that I don't, like when Zach was 24, 25 and he was like, the man on this team, and it was like, can he become a star player? Then I thought it was frustrating that Zach wasn't able to like get to a higher level defensively, especially off ball. But like at age 35 with DeMar, I'm expecting him to turn it on in playing games against the Hawks and the Heat. And I think he did, but I also think there's times where he's just gonna have to not exert so much energy because he's being asked so much. And I think when you're a younger role player and you're a 3-and-D younger role player, like you have to be very good and locked in at all times defensively. So to me, I wanted to see more of that. The Bulls' defense was not great this year. It was actually worse when Ayo was on the court
By a slim margin, I think.
By a very slim margin. Yeah. But still notable, the EPM number minus 0.1. So, again, pretty much average. I thought he was good, not great. I think there were some lapses. I think especially those lapses happen on the defensive rebounding side where he just doesn't get boxed out.
Yeah.
And he needs to.
Yeah. Yes.
Minor stuff, but over a course of a season, it adds up to me. And so I didn't want to go higher than a B there. obviously, I think he's still a very good defensive player, particularly on the ball, and I think he's got potential to be a great defensive player. But that was the one area, and maybe it was because the minutes were so great and he was being asked to do more offensively. I just feel like, to me, the offense was better this year than the defense, and I was kind of surprised by that.
Yeah.
I think we got all.
I mean, the numbers, the leap in those numbers, especially that the 27-game split you were referring to earlier, Will. I mean, those were eye-popping improvements for Ayo offensively. All right, let's do some meathead grades, y'all. Before we talk about what's next for Ayo Dosunmu in the offseason and next season. Will, you got a freaking graduate thesis over here.
I think he fell asleep on his
Now, Will already said he may have forgotten.
I got it.
He fell asleep.
All right, for those of you listening on the podcast, GOAT's meathead grade abbreviation, CMS BITSIFR.
For real?
For real. You got it.
For real at the end.
For real
at the end. But think about it as if it's like
make shots, but is it super for real? Something like that.
it's pretty darn close.
Okay.
I think BIT maybe, but I think
It's short for Batim. No, I'm just joking. It's color me skeptical, but if the shooting is for real,
ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, the ... Okay. All right.
So
shooting's for real.
So you're saying that you're skeptical.
I'm a little skeptical he's going to be a 40% shooter. But
season we just saw from him behind the arc.
If he can keep that up, like, that's a player. And, we were kind of talking about this yesterday during the NHL lottery. Like, could he be the third or fourth or maybe fifth best player on a team that's contending? I think so.
Yeah.
If he gets to that point where he is shooting at that level consistently and at a higher volume, and I think in particular willing to shoot more contested ones, I think he sped up his release, and obviously working with Peter Patton this year, there were some huge improvements. But if he can get to a point where he is shooting 5.5 threes per game and knocking them down at 40%, even more than that, that's a great player. And he needs to tighten some stuff up, and he needs to continue to improve. But, like, I feel great about contract aside. Like, that's just a really solid player you can build with.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Agreed.
My meathead grade is in sort of a similar vein, and it's about not just next season and moving forward, but what I want Ayo to do this summer. Keep up anonymous.
I know that's
KCTR.
Something
keeps
release.
Keep chucking the rock.
Hey, Dave got it. Keep chucking that rock.
Okay.
I want Ayo shooting 500 threes a day all off season, so that Will saying, "Hey, I might be skeptical, but if this 40% 3-point shooting improvement we saw from Ayo is for real, that is a real player.
That's a real.
That is a real player you want on your team.
Yeah.
So, kudos to Ayo for that improvement in his shot that we all saw this season. Keep it up.
No, it makes him more lethal, man.
He went from his first year 37% to his second year 31%.
Yeah,
and then this year 40%. Like, can you keep that?
It's big swings.
Yeah,
and can you continue to shoot even more?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That part. Yes.
What was it per game? 3.6 this season.
This season
attempts.
3.9.
3.9.
Up from 2.4.
Yeah.
In each
So
of
like
his
you
first
said,
2 years.
That's that good growth.
Can he be a shooter who gets that above 5?
Yeah, man.
And then some.
5 a game. Ooh, that's sexy talk. 40% 5 a game. Okay.
All right, Dave. What do we got for your meathead grade?
All right.
Joseph.
Reimer.
It's a simple one. It's been said before.
Something about mid-range?
Read your Miranda rights.
I borrowed it from a great, from another sports great.
Another sports great.
Yes. A legend. A super legend. Joey, anything?
I don't know, man.
No?
I feel like I'm getting progressively worse at these.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. I think 2 years ago we were nailing these.
We were killing them, even though I just got
Dave just got mine.
Oh, thank you, man. I just big up myself at the same time. We think alike. It says, rumble, young man, rumble. That's all. Keep it Muhammad Ali. Shout out, baby. But rumble, young man, rumble. Keep doing your thing, basically, is what I'm saying. I don't want him to change anything that he's really doing. It's just about improvement and kind of, shaping it up. It's like getting a new tux. You're not building a new tux, you're just tailoring it to fit. You know what I mean? So he's at a point in his game where he's just kind of tailoring it to fit him. And then he can keep moving on, man, because we see the talent, we see the skill, we saw the work ethic. Because remember that we saw that weight that he put on in the offseason.
Yep.
How he came in just, with muscles on his neck and shoulders and shit. It was like, damn, he was like, this dude is huge. So yeah, he has that ethic. We know it's in him, man. So just about tailoring and making it, fit to him perfectly. Like Will said, increasing your 3-point percentage, not falling asleep on the defensive end. Those are little minor tiny things, I think. It's nothing real huge that I think he needs to change, because we saw the huge change come because he started scoring. That was the biggest change. So if he keeps doing that and improving on those things, man, goes back to Will's meathead grade immediately. So yeah, I enjoy watching Ayo.
I wonder, just to pose this question to you guys, like we're kind of talking about him as a third or probably more realistically a fourth or fifth option on a very good team, and a player to build with, not necessarily build around.
Right. I
don't want to shortchange him in any way, because obviously when you can make that kind of a jump, who's to say that you can't do it another time?
Correct.
But what do you guys feel is kind of what does he need to do to get to a point where maybe he's a player that you're building around more so than building with?
That for me, it comes when you're getting close to 20 a game. I think that's when because everything else I don't have a complaint about. Like everything else, you're a great defender. You're 40%, all of those things. You're creating your own offense. All that's cool. But if teams have to worry about you getting 20 plus a game, or even close to 20 a game, then you're for real. Yeah. Then we've seriously talking about a real straight up monster.
You got a thought, Joe?
Well, I have a bonus meathead grade.
Joey's got a bonus meathead.
Yabba wabbo? What are we doing?
Yawabogo.
Are you asked?
You
want Ayo back on?
There should be something here that sort of gives it away.
The dash?
Oh.
Young Ayo,
you will
be
always
our Gaio.
Be our guy.
Yeah, okay.
Nice. Nice.
The only grade that matters right there. So,
it's true.
Because
it's will always be linked.
Always.
CHGO Bulls, our trip to Paris.
Yo, ain't that funny? We could literally say this phrase. We'll always have Paris.
We'll always have Paris.
We can literally say this phrase.
Just our romantic afternoon on a rainy Paris afternoon.
At the Met.
Just hanging out at the pyramids of the Louvre.
I'm sorry, the Louvre. Excuse me. I said the Met.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Just talking about the Bears draft picks.
Oh, that was so much fun, man. It was fun, dog. You only gave us a few minutes. We turned in about almost an hour.
Yeah.
It's just talking and running our mouth.
I'm with you, though. On the question of turn from a player to build with to build around, I don't know if I see that for Ayo. I'm not saying it's not possible.
Sure.
But I agree with what you said, Dave, is let me preface it. I'm not comparing Ayo and his potential career trajectory to Jimmy Butler's.
Dang, he's in my brain.
But
so
Bulls
hard.
fans saw Jimmy Butler as a player who was had to scrap to get minutes, was a role player by definition. Tibbs said, go out there, play 40 minutes, play as hard on defense as you can. And then out of necessity, we saw Jimmy Butler turn himself into a legitimate scoring threat.
Correct.
Because the team needed someone to score.
Correct.
In a similar way, we saw those nights from Ayo, especially down the stretch this season. Kobe's out with a hip. So-and-so isn't shooting well tonight. And then we saw these nights where it's Ayo 25, Ayo 30, Ayo 35.
Right.
If he can do that and be that player, or at least the threat of that player on the offensive end consistently as he is progressing through his early and mid-20s, then yes, you can talk about building around that player.
That word right there, Will, threat. You know what I mean? I talk about having shooters here on this team who are threats. It's no, I don't want people. I know people can shoot, but I want somebody who's a threat. You know what I mean? To score, so teams have to worry about it. If he's right, if he's a threat to get 20 a night, oh my God, that's a different kind of basketball player.
Much the same way the guys when you're talking about real contending teams. I mean, MPJ and Aaron Gordon are both great examples of that.
Correct.
They are not the leading scorers of that team. On certain nights,
they might get you 30.
If Jokic's shot is off and he's missing his bunnies, or Jamal Murray is banged up, or Jamal Murray is out, the Nuggets can look at MPJ or Aaron Gordon and we're we need 20 from you tonight.
Oh, Jamal Murray's throwing heat.
That's why I was sort of confused that we kept having a conversation about letting Ayo and on some level Kobe, work their trade value up, and then those Ayo include. Those are the guys I wouldn't trade. just because of potentially still untapped potential.
Yeah.
And I understand about maximizing value. Clearly, this front office does not care about that.
Yeah.
Based on some of the moves that they have made.
And haven't made.
Haven't made is better. But
is Caruso still
I don't know.
doing
I did see a comment, I think, from Julia earlier, which was talking about Jimmy, was talking about Lowry, and it's obviously wishful thinking, but Bulls have had more cases than not about moving off a guy a little bit too early. And I just what you've seen a lot from Ayo in terms of his progression. Where why do you have to assume this is the cap? Why are we putting a ceiling on him?
Yeah, no, I'm not putting a ceiling on any of these guys, man. Like I've stopped doing that. You know what I mean? I learned my lesson from Jimmy Butler. You know, about putting ceilings and caps on people. I was done after that. I just want these guys to continue to get better and continue to grow. I don't think it's wrong or something that's terrible that people just want to put caps and ceilings on them. They're just going by what they see. You know what I mean? Out there. That's fine. But Ayo and Kobe continue to prove that you can't put these lids on top of them. Ayo is just probably an even better example than Kobe because we just knew. You know what I mean? Like we thought it was the odd man out, as you stated, Will. Thought it was the odd man out, the last signing. Was it the Nets that he was potentially being talked about going to? I think it was the Nets. They were like, he might go
last offseason?
Yeah, in the offseason. So we just didn't see the room for him, on the team. And then he always said, I'll play anywhere. You know what I mean? Which is what you want to hear from a hooper. Like, I'll play any position, do anything. But he ain't just say it. He really went out there and he did it. He was everything that they needed, man. So, I like the fact that he learned some things from Caruso as well, because I think all those guards do.
Yep.
And I think that that's just going to make him and continue to make him better, which is another reason I don't worry about him defensively. But I just think it's going to continue to make him better. But if he gets to that point where he's at 20-point threat, where if he might score 40 in a game on somebody, it's up, as the children would say.
Yeah, to me, it's like, I think Ayo right now, what's kind of crazy about it is like there was one play that they run for him. It was that pistol action that I broke down at some point this year where they're like giving him a handoff on a runway to the rim. Like, that's it. He's just doing it through transition play,
right,
through opportunistic cutting and attacking of closeouts and hitting threes. If there is a point, and to be able to put up 17 points per game doing that, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
That's a really good player. But to me, again, that's a player that you build with. And there's nothing wrong with that. You need players to build with.
Yeah.
But to get to a point where you're building around him, to me, it's like, can we run some offense through you? Can you be making decisions and playing mistake-free basketball and creating offense for other players on this team? Because I think he's really good at finding his own kind of avenues and lanes into the basket, just being kind of like slithery and getting to the rim. I want to see a little bit more creativity, and I want to see him get to a point where he is facilitating, and like I said, the Bulls are able to play through him on the offensive end. To me, that was the jump that Jimmy made to where he's not just a 3-and-D wing. Now he is a mistake-free 20-point per game, 5 assists kind of guy, and that is a superstar player.
Our guy in the comments, Fish, agrees, saying, I think if Ayo's game had a higher ceiling creatively on offense, we would have seen it. He's been playing a while in big roles since college, but it's cool. So maybe Fish believing that layer of added creativity and scoring threat combined with playmaking creativity and creating for himself and creating for his teammates is not a level that's there.
And like, I get where that's coming from. But like Jimmy doesn't have a lot of like wiggle off the dribble. He's not like shaking. Like what he does is he's
got some DeMar. He gets to his spots and he draws fouls.
And he bodies guys and puts them on the block and then rises up over him. Like Ayo's not got that same size. He's like maybe 6'5", Jimmy's 6'7", 6'8", but like he can still do some of that. I think he relies a lot on his speed and ability to get downhill. Can he kind of slow down and use his strength a little bit more and start to like, beat guys as opposed to just like run by them. And that's a form of beating guys, but I want to see an additional layer. I think that's kind of what Fish is alluding to is like, can he create offense in a slowed down half court setting? And they don't ask him to do that right now because they've got DeMar who can do it better than anybody else.
Sure.
But I think that's a level that if he can get to it, then you start to feel good about, all right, maybe he can be like your second or third best player on a good team. And then I think you're thinking about keeping him longer term as opposed to seeing what you can potentially get for him on the market.
And I always think that's one of a misconception about a lot of NBA players is they got to be sexy. You got to have these handles out here. You got to be doing these things to show your productivity. And I'm like, no, you just have to be unstoppable. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it don't have to be sexy. It could just be whatever it needs to be as long as the ball goes into the bucket. That's the end game of it. But I wanted to ask you, what kind of guard do you think plays better with Ayo? Like a guard like Kobe is, or more traditional kind of like what Lonzo is?
I think probably Kobe. I think you need a little bit more pressure on the rim and a little bit more scoring next to him. Just because, obviously he can do that, but it's not like he's creating that for himself. So I actually think he and Kobe complement each other really well. Mm-hmm. But I also think that because he has shown the ability to improve his jump shot, he can kind of play off of anyone. Mm-hmm. The real question is, like I said, can he get to a point where he is the one creating? And again, I'm not saying he can't do that, but we just haven't seen too much of it to this point. But I think that's kind of what's been so impressive about Ayo is he's just been everything the Bulls need him to be. He's done the offensive initiation in second units at times. He's gotten up in transition. He's been a floor spacer. He's played off at guys. He's attacked closeouts. Like he does everything, and that makes him really versatile, and that's not a lot. I mean, you can't say that about a lot of players on this team.
So, Joey, if you want to throw up the grades one more time as we wrap up our evaluation of Ayo, those overall grades, we were pretty close. I gave him a B+, Dave a B. Will, you gave him an A. Is the firm A on a B+ and a B just because of what you were saying just now of being everything the Bulls needed him to be this season? Because that's why I gave him a B+ instead of a flat B. I was thinking of Ayo's availability all season long in a season riddled with injuries for the Bulls, and the fact that he went with the flow. Mm-hmm. You want me to start? Cool. You want me to come off the bench? Cool. Either way, I am here and ready to play tonight. Yep. And if you need me to score 20 points tonight, I'll score 20 points tonight. Mm-hmm. That earned him a B+ for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I've been trying to think of the overall grade not as necessarily like a product of the offensive and defensive grade, and more just like, how did you perform this season? Did you answer the call? Did you improve? And I think like Ayo did that just as much as anybody else. So like, is there a little bit more I want to see from him offensively? Absolutely. Is there a little bit more I want to see from him defensively? Yes, absolutely. But I also think he just improved so much. He was steady. He was consistent. He got better. And he was available. Like he did everything that this team needed. Yeah. And I feel like that's, to me, like that's like all the other stuff, not necessarily just the offense or just the defense.
Also him being a coachable kind of player as well. Those kind of things. Yeah.
And improving. I mean, he improved.
And speaking of that, I did like this quote from Ayo, who was one of the handful of players who spoke in the locker room down in Miami after their season-ending loss in the play-in tournament on unlocking his full potential. He said, quote, "I don't think I did that. I think there's still more growth for me, but looking back from my rookie year to my sophomore year to now, it's definitely a big jump I took.
Sure.
But I just want to keep going."
That's it.
Which I think is a great mindset for a young player to have, recognizing, hey, I've made some strides. This season was a big one, but he said, I have not unlocked my full potential yet.
And that's like been the steady thing talking to him all year is like, I don't want to put a cap on what I can do, because then I will achieve up to that and stop.
Right.
Like, I'm not putting a limit anywhere. I'm just going to see how much better I can get.
All right, guys, before we get out of here real quick, we had 2 games in the NBA playoffs last night. The Celtics put the Cavs in their rearview mirror after a fairly competitive first half. But, I mean, headline on that one, I think, the Cavs shot 26% on 42 threes. The Celtics shot 39% on 46 threes.
You can't, like... If you want to beat the Celtics,
Derek White,
you have
7
to,
of 12 from downtown.
Monster.
Yeah, if you want to beat the Celtics, you have to like outshoot them, because you're just not going to beat them. But they also shoot more threes and make more threes than anybody else. So it's just tough.
And really Mavs hung tough with the Thunder for a while. Thunder pull away in the fourth quarter. SGA had a near triple-double with 29 points. Mm-hmm. Luka looked a little hobbled. Did either of those game ones last night change your mind about how those series are going to go?
No, no.
Me neither.
This is kind of how I thought it would be. Luka's been the second best player for them in both series so far. But yeah, I'm sure a lot has to do with injury and things like that as well. But he's got to pick it up. I mean, I can't give him that excuse. Like, this is what MVPs or MVP candidates are supposed to do in these opportunities, bro. Hurt or not, he's got to go out there and give him those Luka games, baby.
Yeah. Biggest takeaway from Thunder Mavs game 1?
The Thunder are just, for as young a team as they are, they're just so, like, steady. They defend so well. They're just They have big time shot makers everywhere.
They don't
make
seem to be
mistakes.
afraid
They're not
of these
phased.
playoff games for as young as they are.
I mean, they swept their first playoff series.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if you ask me if my thoughts change, like, the only thing that I could think of is, like, maybe these series are quicker than we thought they were going to be. Because
Right.
the Thunder looked extremely dominant, and so did the Celtics.
Yeah.
That they did. Game 2 tonight, Knicks Pacers. Game 1 was weird. There were some questionable calls down the stretch of a game that most people agree favored the Knicks in the Garden. Do the Pacers get the split tonight?
Yes, for the sake I said, 7 games? So, yeah. Sure.
I think so, too. Mitchell Robinson being out
Big
really
news.
Yeah.
hurts.
That's a big one.
Like,
because that's like one of their huge advantages, the offensive
Sure.
glass
and the
size.
timeline, didn't they give him 6 to 8 weeks?
6
Like,
to
he's
8
done.
So-
Like, that's a wrap. Yeah.
I mean, they
awful.
are just fighting through so many injuries. It's crazy. Bogdanovich out.
Hartenstein's
Julius
gonna be
Randle's
playing.
out.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, everybody's going to be playing 48 minutes
You
tonight.
got that right. Yeah. They better know who their coach is. I think they do.
We have enough.
But it's working for them. I mean, Jalen Brunson, man,
so freaking
outstanding, bro.
So
like,
freaking good.
Outstanding. Just propelling himself to, like, real superstar kind of levels.
He might average 40 in this postseason run.
That's special, dog. To be the height he is, be doing that, that's special stuff.
Julia in the comments pointing out that Reggie's on the call tonight for Pacers Knicks in the Garden. Please give us an opportunity where the Knicks coughed up a late lead like they did against Philly, so we can see Reggie do this
To spite.
in the Garden.
Yes. Do
And
not
then-
show John Starks on my screen
Dude.
tonight. Please. Oh, my God. I hate it so much, Will.
Unless it's a John Starks Reggie Miller reunion of some kind.
Or
And
John
then,
Starks
like,
is crying. I'll take that.
We're getting dunked on.
Well, yeah, I'll take that too.
Can I make a request? I know we're out of time today, but
Come on.
tomorrow.
Do you
is
want
our-
a tankathon spin? Is that what you're about
Exactly
to ask me?
what I was tomorrow is our last show before the lottery. We got to do one tomorrow.
That's
Joey,
true.
tankathon spin,
Tomorrow
Joe.
is our last show before
got
the
it.
NBA Draft
Tomorrow, not
Lottery
now,
on
tomorrow.
Sunday.
I'm so glad you knew exactly what I was talking about.
Come on. If it's GOAT making a request
Right.
this time of year,
Right. We know what year it is. We know where we at.
I hate to tell you, Will, but I've gotten to know you pretty well.
In
over
the
years.
wheelhouse, baby. In the wheelhouse.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. If you didn't do it yet, hit that like button on your way out. If you watched on YouTube, if you're catching the replay on YouTube, we appreciate it. Make sure you also subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Sign up to become a diehard if you haven't already. For all those wonderful perks and benefits. And if you subscribe to this on podcast platforms of various kinds, leave us rates and reviews there too. We appreciate those. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place, 4 p.m. Central. Enjoy Knicks Pacers tonight. We will talk to you tomorrow. Will to go, Will_Gottlieb, Big Dave Bow, BAWL Sports, our pal and producer, Joey Spathis at Joey Spathis, uncle of Baby Joe, twin brother of Troll Joe. Bulls_Peck, we are CHO_Bulls. Love you, Bulls Nation. See you, be good.
Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.